My mic is on. My mic is on. Monsi, tell us what you had for breakfast today.
I had a bagel with cream cheese and guayaba and strawberry jam. Yeah, it's really good. It's an H-E-B brand jam, and it's my favorite.
Okay. I just need to turn everyone up. Yeah, I mean it's helpful to sort of project.
Gotcha.
Use a indoor voice, if that makes sense.
I got back from a probate yesterday, so my voice isn't the greatest.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me adjust this.
Let's see. I'll make sure yours is on, first of all. And yeah, you kind of do have to sort of, yeah, it's on. Lean in a bit, get, about the width of your four fingers from your mouth. You can kind of move around more naturally, but yeah, you got to be fairly close. Okay, so I sent you the list of topics. So I'm basically winging it.
Cool.
Yeah, I want this to kind of be as spontaneous seeming as we can get it. So if there's anything you want to do over, I don't even have to pause the recording. You could just keep going, and it's going to be edited first so that it's a blog, but also so that it's a podcast later. So yeah, so it doesn't have to be perfect. All right. How's everyone doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Friday's always my reset days, since I don't have one class, and I take out my car and I go out and do errands.
Okay, which mic is yours, Monsi? Because I may want to turn you up, but I think you're the second one. Hold on. That's okay. All right, repeat what you just said.
Fridays are usually my reset days.
Okay, that looks good.
So I take out my car from the garage, and this is usually a day where I run errands and clean and such.
Okay, so we're at the end of the semester, and it probably felt like it went by in an instant.
So fast.
Yeah.
Super.
Yeah. Well, let's linger on that point a bit. I don't know. Thinking about the start of the semester and to now, is it just startling how quickly you're at this point?
Yeah, at the beginning, I guess I feel like it went by fast.
Yeah.
But now that I'm the holidays really crept up on me.
Yeah.
Before I knew it, I was like, oh, I have to go home for Thanksgiving break.
Yeah.
And now I have to leave in a week for Christmas break. It just seems very fast. But looking back on the start of the semester, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
I feel like such a different person than who I was at the beginning of the semester.
Okay.
Yeah.
How would you have described yourself at the beginning of the semester?
Okay, well, I definitely wanted to get more involved on campus.
Yeah.
So I took up a leadership position in one of the nonprofit orgs, and I rushed a sorority this semester.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
So that kept me busy.
Yeah.
Very busy.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a lot of. I came into the semester with I guess less drive than I have now.
Oh, is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, you have to really schedule and know when and what to prioritize when you have a lot of stuff going on. And in a way, it's helped me a lot, just having a schedule and just
yeah,
knowing what's coming up and what's expected.
Yeah. Okay. So Carissa, what have you got to say about the semester tempo as you've experienced it?
I feel like everything runs on different timelines.
Yeah.
I remember when I first joined the speech team, we have a once-a-week meeting, and on my second ever meeting, the coach just vaguely mentioned I had been there for a single week, and I was like, I had fully thought it'd been a month. but like school seems to be rushing by super fast, and it's like there's no one rhythm
Yeah.
for the semester for me. In the start of this year, I was experimenting like anything and everything. I tried E&E, great program, not for me. I also rushed it was a
What program is that?
E&E is events and entertainment.
Okay.
They do a kind of like different things on campus.
Okay.
I tried to join a Greek org, and they're great people.
Yeah.
I just was like, I don't know if I want this time commitment.
Yeah.
I'm a very like do an activity person,
Mm-hmm.
and I was spending a lot of time just like sitting and chatting, and I love
Yeah.
sitting and chatting,
Yeah.
but not as like an obligation.
Right.
But yeah, I feel like things have settled down a little bit towards
Okay.
the end of the semester.
Okay, so you have this last hurdle in front of you. So what looking back have been, I guess, the most significant challenges that you have each encountered during this semester? It doesn't have to be confined just to this semester, but I don't know. However you might define the arc of your time here at UT. What have emerged for either of you as just things that are on your mind a lot, or thorns in your side?
So I think I could speak a lot on this because I would definitely say this is the first semester where I felt like I had a community here. It's my first semester of my junior year, and it's taken me this long to find like people that share the same like beliefs as me,
Yeah.
values, just like attitudes overall, because UT is a very white predominated school, and to find like Mexicans, it was difficult for me. And I've multiple times like tried join other organizations, but at the same time it just didn't, I guess, fill that need of like having like your own community. And I always had homesickness really bad around this time, especially like when you're stressed and like when you can barely take care of yourself during finals. I just would want to go back home, and that would affect me in such a negative way academically. But now, like, that I found my sorority sisters and such, I feel like it's set a better rhythm, and like now I have people to go to, and you just have your group here, and I find myself being homesick a lot less. And so I can even say I don't want to go back home for this winter break.
That's really nice.
Yeah. And did you ever see yourself rushing?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Like not to discredit the Greek community, but I just like didn't see myself as a Greek person at all. But a friend of a friend of a friend
Yeah.
that I knew really encouraged me, so I went for it this semester, and I really, really don't regret it. I'm glad that I went through the process.
Okay. Carissa, you're up. You're a freshman, correct?
I am. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. How much is your head spinning, or has been?
Oh, just absolutely rotating. I'm in orbit.
Yeah.
It's been. I feel like I stuck the landing coming into UT in the way that I intended, which is like I didn't immediately fall on my face, and I'm proud of that. I think that's an accomplishment, being incredibly genuine. But like, yeah, there has been a challenge in like finding a community. I find myself scared of Black UT. It's not for any like legitimate reason. I just keep getting in my own head about like, oh, is my hair not good enough to be?
Well, I promise you, I can't relate to what you're saying.
Oh, his hair is incredible. For the record.
No, okay. I don't want to derail you with my own stuff, but yeah, when I remember being a college student, and yeah, I can see as small a community as what you're referring to is, yeah, I see it. It can have its intimidating aspects as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like the parts of Black QT I've interacted with in a significant way, like there are wonderful people at QT by PACA.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of it's been a wonderful experience, and I'm just trying to like gather the guts to engage with it more.
Yeah.
Because it is something that's really important to me, and I think that's where the fear of failure comes in.
Yeah.
Because like there's only one Black UT. But yeah, like I found a great community with the speech team. Those are
Mhm.
wonderful people, and I like remember like the very first time I went into our team room and just kind of chatted with people there. I was like, okay, cool. This is where I'm supposed to be. I tried a few different things. This is like the big thing, and it was a massive relief to find that. And I'm also like a really forgetful person.
Again, I can't relate. Yeah.
It's yeah, like I have this one class where sometimes the assignments are on like an hour or 2 hour turnaround, and the amount of assignments for that class I have not done, because I just like it's really hard for my brain to stay directly on top of everything at every moment. So it's been up and down in that regard, but I feel like for the most part things have been well.
Okay. And yeah, so what tend to be your go-tos as far as coping strategies, or just things that you do to get out of your own head? Monty, why don't we start with you again?
I mean, personally, I usually shut down in moments like these, and I tend to isolate a lot. So purposely making plans and going to socialize, even if it's just like studying with a person at a coffee shop, making that effort really helps me, because I isolate and it just goes further and further, and I isolate myself from more and more people, and I stay in my head more. So like again, like that I've been planning more this semester, it's helped me mentally as well, like keeping that balance between like academics and socializing and taking care of myself and whatnot.
Yeah, I was a military kid, so a lot of my friends are online, but it's one thing where I'm like, when I'm in my head, those are the people I reach for, especially now because they just make, I've known them for years, and it feels steady to be able to like go back to this community that I've had. So yeah, I have to make myself get out of my dorm. My dorm, all dorms are too small. You cannot.
Yeah.
The other day, I was shocked by how much better I felt after just like walking through a Target and buying fruit snacks. I didn't even intend to buy anything, but I was like, oh, I need fruit snacks. And I came back to my dorm, and I was just like, that was such a breath of fresh air. I feel like it's really easy to feel like UT is so big and try to find a tiny little place within it to stay in, but things like that can make a big difference.
Okay. When I was a student, with regards to whatever I would tell my folks about what I was dealing with, only sometimes was I really candid about that. Other times I gave them a very amended picture of what was going on, and usually only just focusing on the academics, not the existential reality of life in college. So how much is that the case for you, that you're able to sort of give very detailed updates to your people about what's going on with you?
So it was very clear since my freshman year of high school freshman year of college, that I had developed some like anxiety, and coming from a Hispanic household, it's really not well, like mental health is not a thing there. Like you just suck it up and you gotta go with it. So it took a lot for me to find resources myself and not feel guilty about doing that, or not feel like not disregarding what I was feeling. So since my first semester of freshman year, I've like utilized a lot of the UT mental health resources, and have found out a lot about myself and a lot of things I was also diagnosed with like mental disorders, which was very new.
Yeah.
And yeah, my parents did not react the way I wanted them to. So I just like shut that off. Like I stopped telling them about like what I was doing, because one aspect was that they were like undermining what I was feeling, and the other aspect is that they were worried about me. They're not here. It's a 5-hour drive to my hometown. So I stopped like letting them know for multiple reasons. I didn't want them to worry, because it was very evident that like it took a toll on them when I was telling them about my mental health, but also they didn't care. Yeah.
In my family, it's this weird back and forth, because I have always been a person who's like needed to be very conscious and aware of my mental health, like since elementary school, and my siblings to an extent too. So my parents sort of got this crash course when we reach, that age where we're sapient, and it's a strange conversation to navigate.
Yeah.
Because like also in extended families, like it's not a thing, and so it's this bubble of communication, semi-communication that we hold up. I've had a habit since I think middle school of just not telling my parents anything, unless like I needed to be driven somewhere, and drove my mother up the wall. She'd be like, "Where are you? What are you doing?" And I'd be like, I was at a competition, whatever. And so I don't keep them as updated as I could about my situation, really. But I do have people, like mentors outside of my parents, who I tend to reach for the most. I remember just today I sent one of my mentors a text for like, my GPA is not going to be the best this semester. And the first thing he said was, in all caps, don't panic. I was like, I needed that.
Okay. So Toby, I want to get you into the conversation now. I'm gonna have to pass you the microphone. Sure. Maybe you could start just by kind of introducing yourself and saying what your role at UT is. And there's just general like thoughts and feelings, reactions that you have while listening to Monsi and Carissa.
So hi, my name's Toby LeBlanc. I am one of the care counselors in the Macomb School of Business and also in Jackson Geosciences. And the care program's an extension of the Counseling Mental Health Center. We're embedded counselors in the colleges, and it's been so much fun to listen to both of you. And a lot of what you're talking about is a lot of what I hear in my role as a care counselor. So we've been talking about stress, we've been talking about finals, but what's amazing to me is to listen to how much of what we're talking about is not finals and not necessarily school stress, right? It's finding your identity, finding your community, finding your rhythm, finding out about whatever mental health things need to be addressed and taken care of. So it's all this extra stuff around school. This is what we hear and care the most. And to me, if it's pretty important what y'all are talking about. This is the era of your life where identity, you're figuring it out. Up until this point, your community was kind of your co-author on your identity. And you had people that you've known maybe your entire lives. And then you get here and you got to find your own people. And you've got to kind of start authoring your own identity. And you got to do that while you go to school and take classes and take tests and do those types of things. So all of that, listening to y'all talk through that, it's tracks with what I know. And it always impresses me. As far as feelings go and the way I react, it's always impressive to me. And honestly, it's why I love being a care counselor. It's why I love working at UT. Is this stage of life it's really hard, but it's also really magical that y'all are doing these amazing things while managing a really hard course load and learning really important material, really important information. So, yeah.
Okay, so you mentioned finals. So I do actually kind of want to bring the conversation back around to that. So I'm going to sort of disclose that my worst semester as an undergrad was actually supposed to have been my last semester. I went into a pretty profound spiral where, I mean, it was a few different things, but mostly kind of just my own lax habits finally catching up to me. And then just, you know, I was a little bit overloaded with courses, and it was a domino effect, you know, and yeah. So I want you to consider somebody in that kind of a situation, Toby. They sense that they're spiraling. Maybe it's not too late to salvage something from the semester, even though like straight A's out of the question. What is maybe the one bit of advice that you would have for someone in a situation like that maybe you probably suspect they're not already doing?
Just one thing. I would say that quality over quantity is maybe something to focus on, because whenever we're in a stressful situation, we tend to focus on how much time we need to spend on it, how much work we need to do, and we start piling on lots of hours. We start piling on lots of schoolwork and trying to do all the things for as long as we can to see how much can get done. And as we do that, our minds get tired, our mental health starts to suffer, our stress levels go up, which means that it starts to impact performance. Our focus goes down, our motivation goes down, once that happens, you're spiraling, because the more your motivation goes down, the less you can do, the more stress you feel, and there we go. So focusing on quality over quantity, what I mean by that is focus on doing your best work, which means maybe studying for 6 hours. Your last 4 hours aren't going to be the same as your first 2. So study for 2, take a break, go do something that recharges you, that walk around Target to buy fruit snacks maybe. Go do something that reduces your stress level, and it will increase your performance back up. You may not get the straight A's like you said, but what it can do is keep you afloat for long enough to make the grades that you need to make to get through the semester. In fact, I go as far with a lot of my students as talking about how to build self-care into your schedule. So instead of just thinking about self-care as when I'm done, I'll go to the park, or I'll go to Target or something like that. No. I'm going to go to Target at 5 this afternoon before I study, because I know it clears my head. Or I'm going to go for this walk when I wake up in the morning, because I know when I get to class, I'll be in a much better headspace to pay attention, or something like that. I'm going to schedule a nice long Netflix binge this weekend because I need a soft landing after those finals. So being able to focus on the quality of your work. Notice when the work is feeling good, when your brain's clicking and you're getting things done. And when it's not, that's when it's time to start building in self-care time.
So I guess we can go back to our two students. How are you finding the finals and all the how is it its own problem, or is it more along the lines of what you've already said?
I have been really lucky. I don't think this is particularly common.
Yeah.
To have most of my classes not have final exams during finals week.
Mm-hmm.
We have final exam, but they're like equally weighted to some other exams. And I do have one final exam, but it's like an essay, so in my head it doesn't count. And it's like, feels like this part of the year could be a lot more stressful than it is for the test. So I'm like a little bit nervous about future semesters. But even just like rounding out the semester, seeing the rest of my grades come in like really quickly compared to the rest of the semester, it's a lot at once. And so like, yeah, I think I hadn't even realized that's what I was doing. Just taking that time to be like, okay, I'm stepping away for like 2 hours because I can't right now. And like, I think I did feel not great about like taking that time away from my studies. I feel like I can get in the habit of being like, okay, I'm behind, therefore I have to like keep paying this time debt,
Yeah.
even if it isn't getting me anywhere. But actually taking the time to step back has like kept me afloat this semester, and I'm hoping that'll last. I'm fairly sure that'll last up till winter break.
I like to say I wake up every morning and I ask myself, will I finish my finals or will my finals finish me?
Yeah.
Finals are definitely finaling. I have 3 finals on the same day.
Boy.
Yeah, so it's been rough. I have to purposely, like Carissa said, take moments to step back and just not do work, because it just will not be productive if I just sit there. If I keep myself sitting there, nothing's going to get done unless I step away. So I think recognizing when to do that has been really important around these times. And this is my 5th final semester. 5th semester with finals. So I've gathered all that I can over the semesters and realized that what helps me is to study with people and to treat myself after studying. And that's what's keeping me a little sane. But
Yeah.
it's definitely the most I've done all semester.
Yeah. What classes are y'all taking?
I'm taking 2 psychology courses, abnormal and developmental. I'm taking evolution, physics, a physics lab, and a microbiology lab.
I'm taking fun little classes. I'm taking Intro to Ancient Greece, Native American history of the Black Power movement, our class called Our Global Backyard, and I think I'm forgetting one, but I won't remember it.
Okay, so yeah, I was an English major, and so yeah, y'all know I needed to get at least one humanities person in the conversation. So, yeah, thanks for that, Carissa. Abnormal psych, I did take that. I really loved the case studies.
Very interesting.
Yeah, harrowing in some cases too. Yeah. So, Toby, you mentioned identity has come up during this conversation, and I'm really glad that it has. And so, I guess a follow up would be, kind of like what Carissa sort of hinted at. That there's like a sometimes kind of burdensome dance you have to do with respect to your own identity, and so but then Monse, you also mentioned that what a game changer it was for you to find a community that was responsive to aspects of your identity, and just how much of, I guess, an awakening has that been for the both of you? That we tend to individualize mental health quite a bit still.
Yeah, so I definitely would credit my mental health to a lot of not going out and finding people. I knew there was like organizations, and I knew there was people out there that were like me. It's just that anxiety didn't let me like meet new people. It's like, what if I'm not Mexican enough? What if they find me weird? And that stuck with me for a long time. Finally, after 2 years of therapy, I have gained the courage to go out and meet people, and I don't regret it at all.
Yeah, it's been really interesting. One of the things I've been trying socially recently is to just like stop masking so much. I am not in like a little itty bitty high school anymore where like there's that one group of people. Like I have options. And so one thing I've been trying is just like be me in the way that I want to be me and let people take it or leave it. And I found that like it invites people who also like just want to relax and it's been really nice. One thing, identity-wise, that was not something I anticipated, was like whether or not I'm an adult. I have like the very much immigrant, you're an adult, you're not an adult yet, you're an adult, you're not an adult yet. Sort of back and forth, like within my family. And like, it's been nice, especially to find people my age, people like 1 or 2 years older than me, who are just like, well, we're handling all of these things. And there's probably like a spectrum of adultiness. But you know, we're getting really close. I have a job. I will pay taxes this year. That's pretty adulty.
Yeah.
So it feels like I have the right to claim my identity in a way that I didn't feel entirely before.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree with Carissa a lot. I consider myself a baby adult. 1 year, my parents were making me lunch and driving me everywhere. The next, they dumped me off here, and I had to figure out everything myself. And I gotta give myself a little bit of credit sometimes, because I have a job. I'm in organizations. I go to school full time. I pay my rent. I cook for myself. Have to clean for myself. Have to do all these things that my parents would do previously. And going from this big shift, it's difficult, but I have to like remember that, you know, it's my first rodeo here.
Yeah.
I still got to learn a lot of things.
Okay. So Toby, what kinds of things do you find yourself kind of saying a lot to students at this particularly during this time of year, that maybe can be kind of distilled down into like general tips and advice for whoever happens to come across this piece?
This time of year, it's as we've been talking about this whole time, there's so many different stressors. You're dealing with all the life stressors on top of all the final stressors. And the most difficult part about this time of year around finals is they're all coming back to back. You got 3 in a day, Muncie. There's not a lot of room for that self-care I was mentioning before, which is why, just to kind of double down on what I was talking about earlier, scheduling it in for yourself, making deliberate intentions, deliberate actions to try and just relax yourself, whether it be a big one where you just decide to stay in bed all weekend because you haven't slept enough, or it's something small like, you know what, I need to step away from my studies for a couple hours, make some dinner, and just not be a super overachieving student for a little while. So the thing that I find myself talking about the most with students is just make sure that you're taking breaks. Remind yourself that you are a human, a carbon-based organism that has limits. Your brain is an organ that gets tired like every other organ, and your job is to respect it when it gets tired and give it what it needs so that it can rest and recuperate. And make sure that you're also being maybe a bit more predictive with it, because being reactive, sometimes that's too late. Like waiting until you're completely stressed out on the verge of a panic attack, that's not where you start doing anxiety prevention. It's more like, okay, I have 3 finals that day. I'm going to go to bed early the night before to actually get good sleep. And then the next night, I'm going to go out and be with my community just to kind of let loose and get rid of some stress. So being real deliberate about your stress management, treating yourself like an actual human being and not an achievement automaton. Those are usually the things I cover the most.
Okay, so Toby, you seem rather young. I don't want to make any assumptions about how long you've been at this. Has there been any kind of shift that you have noticed in either like the quantity or quality of mental health support that you find yourself being asked to provide over time?
Well, I'm happy to say I'm in my 15th year of doing this at UT. So I've been watching students for that long. And what I have noticed is the pressure seems to be going up for students. That over the course of the last 15 years, students feel increasing pressure on being able to achieve, to be the best, to do as much as they can, to get as far as they can, as fast as they can. And I'm still not quite sure what it's about. I don't know if it's this idea of scarcity, like maybe there's not as many good jobs out there, or this idea that if I don't get to the best of what I'm doing, I won't get to do what I want. I don't quite know what's pushing it along, but I do notice that students feel a lot more pressure to be achieving, to constantly be working, and feeling like often they're behind. That's the one that I see the most, is that students constantly feel like no matter where they are, even if they're out in front, I'm behind. I should be doing more. So that's honestly a conversation that we end up having. First of all, debunking that in a lot of ways, being able to stop and look at the ways we are adulting, look at the ways we are, how much we've progressed just in the short amount of time that we've been here, that it was a week, but it felt like a month. Well, why did it feel like a month? Because so much growing up happened during that time, and I've been doing so much during that time. So it's part of what we spend time talking about, but also kind of debunking the future too, because I think there's this idea that we're all going to have it together at some point, that we are going to turn into these adults, and it's all we should be making it all make sense. And because it doesn't all make sense right now, we're failing or we're falling behind. But in reality, as a card-carrying adult, I'm still getting it together. That I'm still pulling it together. I'm still figuring it out. Most days are my best guess. Hopefully not clinically, but just in general, that's something that I talk about a lot with students, is just we're all still learning. Even when you feel like you should have arrived, you're still arriving.
Can I respond to that one? It was a conversation I had with a mentor of mine earlier in the year, when I was like, I don't know if I am an adult or when I should be an adult, and she's like, girl, you're never gonna like get there. And it was really reassuring to hear, I think. Because especially coming up through grade school and college, like every milestone feels very like check a box, it's done, very achievement based. And then coming into college especially, it's all, there's nobody to tell you how good you've done or that you've done good or that you're the best. One of my biggest stressors was like, I couldn't see my grades all the time. I had no idea how I was doing in half of my classes. And so it's just like, you have to just choose a direction and keep walking in it. I said to the same mentor, like, I'm making so many decisions every single day. In the first 2 weeks, it just like, I was beat, I was tired. But I think it's something that you kind of grow into a little bit. You don't like grow out of the difficulty, you just like grow into being aware that it's gonna be difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah, I lost my train of thought, but yeah, a lot of my stressors is because I feel like time's running out. Like in my head, I'm practically 40 and I should already have everything together. I should already have my life together. Why am I not looking at houses right now? Like crazy stuff like that. And I'm not even graduated college. So just like remembering that there is no destination, I guess. Yeah. Everyone's going to end up somewhere differently, and it will work for them. Yeah. And yeah.
Well, I'm practically 42. Just from the other side of the. Okay. So I'm going to do. So this needs to be a podcast later. So I'm going to do the intro that I should have done when we first started, and then I think maybe we can wrap it up after that. So I'm here with Toby LeBlanc. I'm here with Toby LeBlanc. He is a counselor at the Counseling and Mental Health Center at UT, also the CARE program at the University of Texas at Austin. Monty Lopez and Carissa, forgive me, your
Caesar.
And Carissa Caesar, both currently student workers for the Hogg Foundation, as well as undergraduate students at the University of Texas. Welcome to all of you.
Hi, yeah.
Okay, so this is not a therapy session, but you happen to have one here. So if you this is your chance to ask any one question that you would want to ask Toby. It doesn't have to be anything particularly profound. Just something weird that recently happened. Doesn't even have to involve you personally. Just anything that you might want to pick his brain about while you have him here.
I definitely know what mine is.
Okay.
So coming into this year, I have a FIG, which is a freshman interest group, basically a ton of about 19 other students I'm all taking most of my classes with. And we have a little group me where we communicate and dish tea about our classes. It's not a professional space. And one thing that I've noticed throughout this year is that so many people are so stressed all of the time, like making the assumption that their professors are going to eat them if they don't come in for their homework done or something. And I guess that would be my question, like to these freshmen who are coming in who don't really know the UT resources or how to like gauge the social space, especially those coming from like really competitive high schools, and like that the mindset that puts people into, like what would you say to those people if you had the chance?
Well, the first thing I do is make sure and get them acquainted with as many resources as possible. The Counseling Mental Health Center is a great resource. The care counseling program or the embedded counselors, they're going to be in every college. So the good part about the care program is the care counselors know their college and they know the culture within the college. And so students can talk to their care counselor and not only get a mental health perspective, but just even how the college culture that they are, the culture of the college that they are in, how it folds into their mental health experience and how it may inform or impact it. I'd also try to get them acquainted to any of the other campus resources that we have. We have so many for our students. But I honestly think being able to kind of put the students back into their story. We talked earlier about how we come from these competitive high schools where all of our grades are in these check boxes that we can look at. I'm doing this, I made this grade, I'm going to this class, I'm moving forward. And then you come to this university and things look very different. And then even more stressful is when you leave this university, it looks way different, where there are no grades, there are no check boxes and things like that. So whenever I'm meeting with a student who may be talking about the stress of college and how they feel overwhelmed by their classes, just kind of putting them back into the story and saying, hey, you're just starting on this journey. You're learning college, that it's kind of like your unofficial extra class. You have all your hours, but then you have getting used to college. It's knowing when to wash your clothes. It's knowing how to get yourself up in the morning, get dressed if you've never been the person to kind of motivate yourself through that. So just kind of putting them back into their story and saying, look, you're doing all this stuff and there's lots of room and space to grow and to move around, that if you don't do well on a test, there's going to be another test. If you are struggling with something, there's going to be a resource. So just putting them back into their story, putting them back into their world that they're in and letting them know that there is help if you need it and you're going to get better.
1 second, I'm so sorry. I totally forgot my question. Okay. I'm blanking out.
Okay.
Hold on. I know it was there. It's right here. Oh yeah. So this is a very prestigious college.
Mm-hmm.
Many of us are in the top 6% of our high school class. Most of us overachievers, trying to get those really good grades. What advice would you have for someone who was always an overachiever and always had those top scores, and coming to college it just wasn't the same story?
Oh, I have this conversation so often. This is one that I'm very familiar with. The answer I would give is very, very similar to the previous question, that to put you back in your story. You were a big fish in a little pond. Now you're a big fish in a big pond full of big fish. And the thing to remember is which pond you're in and why you're in this pond. You're here because you're the best of the best of the best. You were playing pro level in the minors, and now you're playing pro in the playing pro in the pros. So that means you are, if you are just now being challenged at the level at which you're struggling, that means this is where you're supposed to be. This is the level at which you're supposed to be working. Back there, you weren't being challenged. Here you are. Also, the achievements that you have, they've gotten you as far as here. And then in your next level, achievement is going to come from a much different place. It's going to come from how hard you work. It's going to come from the relationships that you build. Nobody's going to be checking grades. In your yearly evaluations from your supervisor, there will be no grades. So being able to start validating yourself from a different place, because that's what I think a lot of students who are high achievers, we've developed so much validation. We've developed so much of how good we are from those grades that we make, to the point where sometimes we don't look at any other places in our lives to validate and say, I'm enough here, I'm enough here. So being able to start validating your work ethic, how intelligent you are, how innovative you are, how you just figure things out, how resilient you are, being able to validate those other parts of yourself, help you to kind of step away from needing the grades to tell you how good you're doing.
Okay. Toby, Monsi, Carissa, thank you so much for taking the time to contribute to this experiment. I really do appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
All right. That was awesome. Yeah.
All right.